Hello everyone and welcome back to AstroArt. My name is Aleksi and today we'll discuss monochrome and color cameras in astrophotography. Maybe you are considering of purchasing a dedicated astronomy camera, but you are not sure whether to buy mono or color, or you are just interested to hear about the difference of these two. Well, stick around to the end because there might be some facts that you might have not known. But before we dive in, it would be much appreciated if you smash that like button and subscribe to our channel. Alright, let's dive in. Let's first go over color cameras. One of the major advantages of a color camera is that you get a full color image with just one exposure. Unlike with a mono camera, you don't have to build your image through different filters to get a color image. And that alone is a big difference and time saver. Nowadays there are few narrowband filters for color cameras like the Antlia ALPT dual narrowband filter, which is amazing by the way in my opinion, but you still get a color image with just one exposure. Monochrome and color cameras are similar in many ways, but the biggest difference is in the sensor. On a color camera there is RGB pattern in that sensor. Red, green, green and blue. And 50% of the pixels sees green light and 25% sees the red and blue. There are small filters over the pixels that is going to capture a specific wavelength of light. Red pixels is going to only let red light through, and this applies to the green and blue as well. The pixels only let that specific light through, so if blue light hits on a green pixel, it gets rejected. So if you think about it, when you are capturing a target that has blue colors and red colors, for example, and the green pixels are not capturing anything, that means that the camera's light gathering potential is limited. Now that 50% of your pixels are green, you will lose some light from the nebulae. Green is usually the most not liked color in imaging. This doesn't mean that color cameras are not good. Color cameras are extremely simple to use, little bit cheaper and will save you time by producing full color image at once. Color cameras can take stunning images of space. Here are a couple shots taken with color cameras. With a monochrome camera, you are using the full light gathering capability of the camera sensor, but you have to capture one color at a time through each filter. That means that you have to capture your target with red filter, green filter, blue filter and luminance filter. And by combining luminance, red, green and blue, you get an LRGB image. And don't forget that you have to capture calibration frames for each filter as well. The process of mono image processing might seem complicated, but the fact is that it is similar in many ways as with a color camera. Narrowband imaging with a monochrome camera is creative and most effective way to capture targets. It's also the absolute best way to do astrophotography under light-polluted skies. In narrowband imaging, you are using narrowband filters, which lets a very specific wavelength of light through and blocks unwanted light, like light pollution. Most common wavelengths are H-alpha, O3 and S2. Monochrome camera and narrowband imaging is more expensive and time-consuming than color cameras, but its advantages are selectively capturing a specific color or wavelength and using the full capability of the sensor. It gives you flexibility, better overall quality, and it's the best way to capture targets under light-polluted skies. Alright, let's do a recap of mono camera and color camera and list some of the pros and cons. Let's start with the color camera. Since the color camera can give you full color image at once, it saves your precious time and makes it simple to use. Color cameras are also a little bit cheaper than mono cameras. The downside of a color camera is the capability to capture light, and it's not as effective under light pollution than mono cameras. With mono cameras, one of the major advantages is the sensor inside. It can capture light in the most effective way using the sensor's full light gathering capability, and it will give you the best quality image. Narrowband imaging with a monochrome camera is the most effective way to capture targets, and it's the best way to do astrophotography under light-polluted skies, which is a big problem for majority of us. The not so fun part of a mono camera is the cost of the equipment and the time it consumes to produce a color image. In narrowband imaging, in top of the camera itself, you need multiple filters and a filter wheel. In absolute effectiveness, mono camera beats color camera hands down. It gathers more light due to the lack of filters inside. Both systems can take similar images, but usually you'll get better quality with mono camera. When speaking normal color imaging, the color camera wins. Color camera setups are usually 25 to 40% cheaper than mono camera setups. You always need to make compromises, so picking up the best gear for you is always personal choice. If you are a beginner, I would start with color camera and move to mono in some point. That's the typical route of doing astrophotography. Color camera narrowband imaging is a good way to start learning the mono camera image processing. Now that I have imaged 2 years with color cameras, what would I say? I think the mono wins this game, as you would get much more detail and effectiveness in your imaging. For the conclusion, there is no right or wrong answer here. It all depends on your needs. We hope that this helped you to understand more about mono and color cameras in astrophotography. If you have any further questions, don't hesitate to leave them into the comments. Also, if you want to know more about filters, we have made a dedicated video on that. And let me be clear, both cameras can take beautiful images of space, which is the most important thing. Everything comes with pros and cons, and those are critical to know before making a decision. My name is Aleksi, and I hope I see you in the next video. Clear skies!